Hello. Hi, anyone that's watching. So you've obviously or most likely seen Alicia on with me before, but we've had the summer break, which has been absolutely lovely. You've had a wonderful time. I've had a lovely time. Um, yeah, I was on with Harry last week. You saw that one, didn't
I
you?
did, yes. And I've never met Harry personally, and I forgot that we were Facebook friends. But I loved that interview. It was so great. It was so great to see how
Absolutely.
great he's doing.
Exactly, yeah. So but we've got a lot to talk about today because I've also promoted, well, not promoted, I didn't mean to promote, but somebody recommended that book. It Didn't Start With Us. Then
Mhm.
I put it out onto Facebook on both the page and my timeline. You went into a library and said you'll never guess what's here, and you've
Yeah.
got the book. I mean, we're so involved with trauma aspects. And this understanding that this book, it didn't start with us. It's so valuable in a way because some of the stories that he tells within that, but also the story that he starts with about himself. Mark, I've forgotten his name now.
Mark Woolen.
Mark Wolin.
I
Yes.
even have the book right here.
I couldn't believe that. Yeah, you've just shown me. It didn't start with you. Um, yeah, so that's a really good book and it talks about the traumas and that. So my friend, I've got a very good friend that I go to the spiritual church with most Friday nights, and she's had the most incredible experience of life. And I know she signed up for it before we come, but she can't understand why she would have, a lot of trauma within her family. And
Mm.
and I think to get that understanding from reading this book as well, as to, it probably didn't start, but it's the traumas that we pick up through life. But so I spoke with a lovely girl this week with Ho'oponopono, but I also felt that what you do would have helped her as well. And then, yeah, she come to you,
Mm.
um,
Yeah.
which was, I haven't heard from her, but I've heard from someone else close, very close to her, that said, she really feels it's helped her a lot, although
Good.
it's just started a journey. But I think what's really good to say from that is that I think it reminded you of your awakening,
Yes.
and you
And
didn't
it
know what was happening to you.
Exactly. And the way she was in that moment, that time was, first of all, it triggered me to be reminded that there is a whole wave of new people right now going through this awakening stage. And the awakening stage is two parts. Number one, you're awakening, and the most important part is that you're awakening to your own truth, and you're awakening to, who you are without your ego and your trauma and your pain. And in order to do that, you need to look at it. So, and in what's also involved in there is you're starting to probably tap into, clairvoyance and, intuition. And this can all be very unsettling. And there's a fine line even between like a psychosis, when you're at that sort of fast expansion or awakening time. And a lot of people are going through it right now. So she was a reminder to me because the symptoms of that can be scary. They can be very scary. You can feel very overwhelmed. There are so many things that can come with that. And a lot of people are going through that right now. There's a lot of people that are being awakened. And the second prong of that awakening is the awakening to the reality of our world and what we've been living
Absolutely.
in, and the belief systems and the imprints and, the way society is structured and all the things that are playing out in our media right now. You can't ignore it. Looks like the world is in chaos. Um, and so it's kind of a mirror reflection of what will be happening also with you if you are choosing, or your soul is choosing, to move through this path of awakening now. So we've just hit another big wave of folks are probably going through challenges right now, either with their own shadows or their own truths, or their own, ancestral trauma, or, current trauma related to what's going on in the world, triggering them to wake up. And it's a lot right now for people. And what's funny is you and I planned to do this talk and we didn't know it was 999
Well,
today.
I was just about to say that must have come into our minds at the very same minute because I didn't realise it was 999. How daft. But you had symptoms this morning that you needed to
I
hear.
did. Yes. And you know what? I always share my personal experiences because I feel like, I want everyone to know, Jackie, just because you and I are, here talking about this and forward facing to public, it doesn't mean these things aren't happening to us too. And it doesn't mean that we're not moving through these things too and learning and growing and and healing along the way. We don't know everything. And and that's part of the process, right? We need each other. So, but 9 specifically numerically represents end of a cycle,
Yes.
and it also represents expanding enlightenment consciousness, and specifically it's related to sort of global consciousness. And look at what we're moving through right now. I mean, you just can't make this shit up. If you tried. You know, you just can't.
That's the thing. How much of it do you look at, Alicia? Where is your attention going? Um, we really got to look after our attention and where we're putting that attention. So I shared with you what I'd just been looking at earlier. Um, it was about the Akashic records or something. And I
Mhm.
thought it was of interest perhaps to you because you know a little bit about the Akashic records. Like what you do is similar. It's not called the Akashic records, but what you tap into the
I
person's
do.
soul.
Yeah.
Exactly. Um, and you didn't really resonate with what I shared with you. And then I thought, why was I even watching that then?
There's a reason. There's always a reason.
Yeah.
So really, this is a great subject to bring up, especially right now, because there's so much noise going on. There's so many spiritual teachers. I mean, it's all over TikTok, Instagram, you can find so much information now that it can almost be overwhelming. And this is why the most important thing that we as leaders need to be teaching people is to find their own truth, because it doesn't matter what's happening out there. All of that is actually meant to wake whatever it is inside of you up. So if you're triggered or reacting to something, so something playing out in media or a video or a post, and you're triggered to feel, fearful or angry or scary, that's something in you that needs to be looked at. That's what this
Mhm.
whole grand awakening is about. It's about you. It's about how you are reacting. And if something is causing you to react, that's when you start to have to actually start to take action. Where does this start? If is it mine, or is it my ancestors, or as it was for me this morning, it was collective.
Yes.
I, I was experiencing what I could term anxiety, and feeling, a little bit teary and overwhelmed. And it came out of nowhere. And the first thing I did was I assumed that it was mine. And so I have the tools to check, right? But we all do if we learn them.
Yes.
We all have the ability to check in and to ask, is this really mine? And with, the book, it didn't start with you. It's talking specifically about tuning into what is an ancestral trauma that you're actually experiencing in real time. And that is also something um, that happens to us.
And it's something that could go into your unconscious. I'm listening to that book. I haven't actually got it here physically.
Mm.
Um, but in listening to it, it's quite often where you've been brought up with family stories, and yes, you heard them, but you might not consciously have taken them on, but unconsciously you've taken them on. And so there's one story in there of a chap that's 19. At 19, his whole outlook on life changed. And he had heard, but unconsciously, not consciously aware that he'd heard, of his grandfather, that at the age of 19, what happened to him. And then he went into the symptoms of his grandfather
Mm.
at 19. He took that on. So We don't realize, I've told my boys things, that have been told in the family, and you don't know how their psyche has taken that on.
No. We're also carrying these things as what are called miasms. So even chronic illnesses can be triggered by something, and that's part of what I can do as part of one of my gifts. I can tune into where the origin source of whatever it is that's happening. But we, as a collective, have to start to get better at learning how to support ourselves and not having to always rely on other teachers or healers to do the work for us. We have to start to actually have the tools. That's why I really thought this book was so brilliant, because it takes a very pragmatic approach. He gives you tools on how to actually list out, what the trigger was, what the emotions were that come up. I mean, this is what I do from a telepathic psychic, I read your energy to tell you that. But you don't need to be psychic to actually really look inside and just sort of establish, okay, what was the trigger? What was I triggered about this morning? Was there an actual trigger in something that happened? So yes, there was. Was what I was feeling in my fear and my in the teariness or the overwhelm, was that actually related to what was currently happening in this time? And the answer is no. And I can check that, and so can you. So can everybody else,
Which
right?
you've done on many occasions. You've explained that about our body,
Hmm. Yeah.
body, what do you call it? Body
I
what?
call it the body pendulum, but I
Body
also
pendulum.
I also call it truth
Obviously,
testing. Yes, or a
yes,
regular pendulum. And yes,
yes.
Jack, I've gotten you quite adept to your pendulum now. So yeah, and you know what? In my group sessions, I'm coaching all of the time. I'm not doing the work for them. I'm teaching people how to do it themselves, how to tune in themselves, how to look inward, because that is what this awakening is about. At the end of the day, no matter what's happening out there, whether you're, aware of it or not, you may be picking up off of the emotions of others that are, and there's a lot going on in the world right now. There's a lot of things that could trigger many things in you, either outside of your world, but also inside of your world, within your relationships, within your, there's just so many quote unquote triggers right now. And we're just being asked to say, okay, why is this happening for us?
Exactly.
What can I see? Why am I feeling stuck or blocked? Why am I not feeling joy? Why am I feeling anxiety all the time? Our emotions are our best teachers,
Mm.
and our bodies are our maps.
And tuning into that, yeah, tuning into that to actually be conscious of how you're feeling all the time. I did a workshop many years ago with a lovely lady. She'd written a book about reincarnation, but she come and did a talk for us, forgotten her name, but and every so often she would stop and go around the whole circle and say, "How are you feeling now? How are you feeling?" To start with, it felt a bit annoying because I was thinking, is that just to kill time? But actually, it was to understand that we're tuning in then consciously to how we are feeling. And then what can we do about that if we're not feeling?
Right,
Find a
exactly.
better thought. Yeah.
Right. So a couple of tips. Well, first of all, I like to always, as you know, teach people and have people and remind people, if you've heard me say this before, to remind you that your body will never lie to you. And, actually, even just learning your body pendulum and learning to trust what it's telling you as and really trust that is part of, putting your ego over here and putting your mind over here, and, just allowing your higher self, your soul, your unconscious, however you want to put it, to guide you. And at the end of the day, it's your truth is the most important thing that matters. And
Is
there's so
ask,
much
walk alone.
information right now, right? There's so much noise out there. It's just the most important thing we can learn right now.
Honestly, I I've taken it downstairs, but I'm
Mm.
listening to another chat today. I don't know how it keeps coming up, but about where they've died for so long and
Mm.
then they've had an near-death experience,
Yeah,
NDE.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, fascinating. The beautiful messages that come back from that as well for them to share with the world. You
Hmm.
wouldn't want the trauma of what happened to,
No.
that you die, but they come back with the most amazing. But then that is what trauma is, isn't it? You don't have to have a near-death experience to be a trauma.
Oh, trauma can be everything. I had someone last night who just had a house move, all of a sudden paralyzed, and down the spiral they went. And it turned out that it had nothing to do with the house move, but the house move was the trigger, the catalyst. I've had other people that are moving through, specifically right now, job changes or relationship changes, and they think that that is or they perceive that that's the reason why they're experiencing this, the anxiety or the grief or the sadness. But oftentimes it's actually, it goes deeper than that. There's a source that's, not about that very time. And a lot of these things do happen to as catalysts for us to look, to pay attention, to start to do the digging.
So before we go into asking anyone to share a question, if you want Alicia to look into anything for you, can I ask you this? If you've got a friend, and this is not me, but I do know someone that this is happening with. She's got a friend that is very demanding, knows her Achilles heel, been friends for many, many years, um, never makes her feel good, but she doesn't want to break from her because they've been friends for so long.
Mm.
Um, what advice would you give? Because obviously the most natural advice is you have to, but she knows how lonely the friend is, but the
Yeah.
friend is not a good friend in the fact that she points out how good her life is to make my friend not feel that great.
So good. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, and weird things like that, yeah, what would you do if that, that's not going to break, but it's causing her a lot of angst in a way,
Mhm.
because
Yeah,
she
which
knows when she sees her, that's what's going to be.
right. Well, she's gotten to, if she's been with her for, she's been friends with her for years and years and years. This is nothing new. So she's in a codependent type of dynamic with her.
Yes, there's
And
something both of them are getting from it.
that's right. And there's a comfort in that.
Yeah.
And when we stay in relationships that don't serve us any longer, there is definitely trauma causing that, or something that's causing that. And it could be anything from, karma, karmic loops, and showing up to say, listen, you don't have boundaries in your relationships. And so we're just going to keep repeating this cycle until you figure that out. Or it could be just that invitation. If she's starting to feel it a little bit more, she's becoming even more sensitive to energetically to what her friend is actually projecting. And maybe she wasn't as sensitive before. And maybe she's just simply becoming way more aware of herself in the ways that we're talking about.
Hmm.
And she's starting to, and this is what happens when you move through awakening, the things that you could tolerate before or handle before, or the people that you wanted to spend time with before, all of a sudden none of them resonate because you're changing and you're becoming lighter and more sensitive in your superpower, if you ask me. But whereas before you were living sort of, three-dimensionally in the third dimension, where everything just is this or that, and you were just kind of going about your life the way that you were told you're supposed to, right? And then when you start to go through an awakening process, you start peeling away layers and you become really sensitive. So then all of a sudden, relationships with partners seem to shift. You start to really see how, you're experiencing a relationship or a workplace. And all of a sudden, much of it doesn't feel aligned anymore. And so I would say that if she's seeing that more clearly now, it's probably because she's starting to see the codependence and and we can't change the other person. That's the thing.
No. But
That,
she'll be so worried about upsetting the other person if she didn't see her as much as she sees her, because they've been so codependent. Yeah.
yeah.
Even though she's got many other friends as well.
Yes, and I call that walking through the fire. There's so
Mm,
many examples of that. There
mm.
could be someone who stays at a job that they don't want
Oh,
because
absolutely.
they're right because they're afraid of, not having something better or not being able to pay their bills or not being safe, or that they people look down on them if they don't do that job, right? So there's a lot of examples of what we do, and we stay in that because we're comfortable.
Yeah.
And the awakening process is not comfortable. It's
No,
not. And
no.
and many of those walking through the fire scenarios are going to present themselves through this time we're all moving through.
Yes.
And so many people are going through this awakening. And it can look like, again, people reacting to say, let's say what's going on in politics, or, it can be so many different triggers or catalysts. But the end of the day, we all need to take stock and look at, okay, why am I triggered by my friend? Why is this happening now? Why has sure maybe I've thought about it before, but I've put up with it for so long, but
Mm.
why can't I now?
Yeah.
That's the question she needs to be asking.
Because that's not going to change on the other person's side. It's definitely not going to change.
No.
So then you have to make choices. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Mm.
making choices about who you spend your time with, what you watch, what you're consuming on social media.
Yes.
And this includes even family members, the most important thing that every one of us can do right now is to protect our peace and not be in judgment of ourselves.
Hmm.
Two most important things that we can
Mm.
do right now, because there is a lot coming up for us to look at. And it's all of us. I
Yeah.
just went through it 2 hours ago.
Yes. Yeah.
So
You.
no one gets a hall pass. Now, today, what was coming up, which I'm able to check in on, and you know what, even for me, sometimes I still, oh, really? Are you sure this isn't mine? Because sometimes your brain wants to assign a reason for an emotion that's coming up.
Yeah.
So if you're feeling overwhelmed or sad or fearful, your brain wants to say, oh, well, that's because of this. Okay. Now, the truth is, it could be about a number of things. I could have subconsciously viewed a video on social media that triggered, a response of fear, or numerous videos, or I
Hmm.
could have watched the news, or I could,
Absolutely. Yeah.
right? Or I could be sensing the fear in a loved one, and any of this is a possibility right now. So this is the most important discussions we can have right now, is how is what you're moving through, where is it coming from? Is it yours, number one? And if it isn't yours, it's probably partially yours always, because if you're experiencing it,
Absolutely. Yeah.
you're triggered, right, by it,
Yeah.
or it's a catalyst for you to look. But where is it coming from? And, I would ask everybody, well, maybe some of the people that are live here right now can comment, specifically, is anyone sort of moving through? Today is a very potent day energetically, and I was actually feeling energy from the collective. That's what I was feeling today, you know.
Yeah.
And it doesn't surprise me when I completely forgot about the 9999 and or 999, and also the Schumann resonance went off at about 11 Eastern Standard Time, right around when I was feeling all the things. But my brain wanted to assign a meaning or a reason for it being something that just happened in my current reality, and it had nothing to do with that.
Yeah. But that's the thing. You could check in and you knew the questions to ask. You know, that's a really good thing for anyone to know. Another
Mhm.
thing I just want to mention, and then we will get going if anyone's got any questions. Um, But the other day I saw just a 2-minute clip, and because it was Wayne Dyer, I did watch it, and it said before you go to sleep. Oh, and then on Sunday I was at the Mind Body Spirit Fair that we had in Poole, and I was sat with Melinda Messenger. She was our main speaker, and I was sat with her for an hour talking, asking questions. And I mentioned this because when you go to sleep at night, what's your thoughts before you go to sleep? And he was saying, think of all the good things that you can say about yourself. I am loved. I am happy. I am joyful. Just to say that before you're going to bed, I am well, I am abundant, I'm wealthy, I'm healthy. I know some of those things, if you don't feel it's true, but just saying that before you go to bed, that's putting into your subconscious.
Agreed.
Yeah. Yeah, because my ankles can be a bit, so my ankles are strong. My feet are firmly on the ground. Just think, but lovely, lovely things. I'm kind, I am loving, I am happy, healthy, all the things that you can think of. I've done a whole list. And
Yeah,
so to say that to your subconscious before you go to sleep every night, that can only be a good thing, can't it? That can like clear
sure.
all that from the day.
Yes, the other thing that always helps me, both in the morning and at night, is to reflect on what I'm grateful for.
Ooh,
To
yeah.
add to that, that to me is a game changer practice, because you don't even realize when your mind, sometimes it's on lists, things to do. Sometimes it's, working out something that you saw on TV. Sometimes you're worrying about the next day,
Yeah.
right? To just sort of, really start to be consciously aware of what your mind is, where your mind is, what it's thinking about, and then maybe just sort of modifying that, because the mind is, remember, the mind and the ego and the physical body are just keeping us safe. They're just keeping us safe over here in this world that we've, grown comfortable in, where we feel safe, right? And so our mind is just doing its job. We have to start to train it. So what I do is I just sort of reflect on the day or what's been happening, and I just, instead of spinning what I'm worried about, instead, or what I have to do or whatever, I
Mhm.
just think about what I'm grateful for. I start with the simple stuff. I'm grateful that I'm comfortable here in my bed. I'm I'm grateful that I can get up and do what I love to do in the world, and I don't have to go to an office job. I am grateful, for the food that I'm able to go to the store and eat when I want to. The really simple stuff, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And it
Which is
helps.
marvelous.
Yeah,
It
it
does absolutely help. And they say the more grateful you are, the more you have to be grateful for, because you think of. So when I was on the happiness course back in 2010, and Robert asked us to write down 100 things we're grateful for in an hour, I did get to 85,
oh,
but
wow,
now I
that's
could get to
impressive.
100 in 20 minutes easy.
Oh,
Literally.
that's a
Yeah.
good exercise. Actually, we should just task everyone watching this to do that again. That is a really good exercise.
Honestly, 100 things that you're grateful for in an hour. And as I say, I did get to 85. Um, but now, like I've done it since, and I could easily get to 100 in an hour. I mean, if you had to put meat on the bones, obviously I couldn't do that in 20 minutes. But yeah, but just to say I'm grateful for my slippers.
Yes, yes. Well, and then, to kind of circle back around to ancestral um, trauma, ancestral patterns and triggers that are coming up for us to be aware right now. The fact is that, some of the fight, flight, freeze, nervous system response is programmed into our bodies and fields. And, you don't have to look too far back in history, even currently, to see that there are still people that are in fight, flight, freeze every day and are in survival, right? Then that is fact. And this has been thousands of years for, our humankind, right? This has been so we have to almost, those of us anyway, who really, there isn't a bear in front of me right now. There really isn't. And I'm not going to starve. And I live in an air conditioned home in the summer, and like, but some of our, you know, traumas, triggers, emotions are actually not even ours and rooted in our ancestral trauma. And, I've been working, actually, this is very interesting. I've been working with a lot of different groups, ethnic groups of people. I have a whole group of Romanian women that I've been working with. The themes that come up with some of them, Eastern European, there were a couple that were coming from some of the really war-torn countries. And you can really see how, even though they're not actively playing out their trauma response, the way that they're living their lives is impacted. A lot of them, there were about three of them last week that were all from sort of Eastern European type countries and backgrounds, and sort of like their parents were. So we're not like talking grandparents. And they're still playing out the trauma of, patterns and imprints of, male oppression and women not having a voice and judgment and, you know, all of the things that we humans have done to each other. And we're playing it out now, although we're not living in that same time, but we're still playing out the pattern.
Yeah.
So we're still, a wife who's keeping, herself quiet to keep everyone happy, and not understanding why she can't find joy, or
Hmm.
why she doesn't feel joy every day.
Hmm.
Another woman, a young woman I worked with last week, great job, great husband, has everything she wants, has a young child, but literally can't find her joy. She's literally blocked and stuck. And I had about three people say, looking around, I have everything I want and need, I could want. And a lot of that is coming not from them. It's actually coming from the trauma that their parents experienced and their grandparents
Hmm.
experienced, and that the way that they've learned, to live their life based on those constructs, those time periods.
Yeah. This is the time to wake up to everything that we're experiencing. This is we're the generation that, can start to heal for all the family, all the
Yeah.
ancestors, because they probably didn't understand how it's been, how we've got to this position. Because when you're born, you are absolute love. You're born of love, made of love, and you are love. And then we get that taken out of us
Yep. Well,
to a
it's
degree.
programmed, it's traumatized, yeah, there's so much but we're being shown now. You
Yes.
when you look at what's happening in the world, it's happening because we need to see, and it's because we need to understand what has shaped us, and we need to understand then our unconscious responses to all of this. This is healing. This is awakening.
Yeah.
This is higher, expanding consciousness. This is
Yeah.
this is what we're in. Yeah, and
One of the big
if
things. Oh,
and if
sorry.
we don't do it, who will?
Well, exactly. It's no good waiting for anyone else to. We have to do it for ourselves and for anyone around us that we
Thelma
want.
just Thelma just commented, time to wipe this slate clean. Yes.
Yes, exactly. And that's what I was going to say with Ho'oponopono. We are perfect. I wonder if that triggers anyone. We are perfect, but our memories are imperfect.
Yes.
Mm.
Yes. Correct. Yes. And we also need to make sure that we are patient, kind, and not in judgment
Yes.
of ourselves, number one,
Yes.
and of anyone else.
Yes. And of
Very,
course, we do judge all the time. In all honesty, we do. It's how we've sort of been programmed to, but being aware of that and then realizing, we want to boost people up, find the best in everyone, find the best in ourselves first,
mm,
but find the best in everyone. Just to even smile. I know we've heard that say, but just to smile to someone, it really can change. I go on the dog walks every day, and quite often, head down, earphones in. If they do look up, I'll smile, and there is a glint of a smile. Oh, I wonder if I can share that. I'll open it. Anyway, I don't know if you want to start getting ready to just say what, because we're already halfway through our
oh,
time.
we probably are, yes.
But
So,
I'm going to just open that and just show you on a share screen. Um, Then
While
I
you're looking
saved.
for that, I will just prompt everyone before we go for just while Jackie's looking for that. I'll prompt everyone to just start to think about what any of the conversation we've had so far, what is that triggered in you? And maybe it's shifted the way that you were feeling or thinking before. Maybe something has come up for you as we've been, talking. Start to think about that, and then I'm going to move you through a little clearing exercise, and then we will open up the floor and ask if any of this is resonating and if you have any questions. Okay. So what did that say?
Yeah, let's go back to that. It was just funny. Share. May my vibe be so contagious that even the grumpy souls accidentally smile. But actually, that's a judgment to say grumpy souls.
Is it though? I mean, we're
No,
all we're
no,
all
it
grumpy.
just made me laugh when I read it.
So if is anyone feeling, so we'll start to there's some people here you can start to put in the chat, and Jackie and I will try to keep up with the
With
chat. I will
what's
answer.
being asked.
Yes, I can answer some questions, maybe specifically too, if you're looking for confirmation on anything you are moving through. Let's try to be as specific as possible. That you have a question about whether it's yours or if it's originating from something else. So this could be an emotion you're feeling. This could be a struggle you're having in a relationship. This could be a question you have around your career. Okay. Maybe the questions can be all related to, is this, what is this trying to show me? And maybe you don't have clarity on that as of right now. Does that make sense? I think that's kind of a good way to position the question.
Absolutely, yeah. I don't think there's any questions yet. Can you see any?
I can't yet. So what we're gonna do before we do this
You
is
are open.
yeah, I'm gonna do a little bit of because this energy today is quite potent. I'm assuming just we can see with some likes and comments. I'm sure everyone's feeling it. So hopefully what we've said today already has allowed you to sort of shift your perspective on what you're going through right now or what you may have been feeling, and maybe has opened your conscious awareness into that. Maybe it's something else. But what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to move you through a little exercise of a heart opening. And then I'm going to get you to go ahead, and those of you who have not seen me before or don't practice this or would like to practice it again, it's always a good idea to do this. I would do it daily. Do you work through your body pendulum with me right now, so you start to learn to trust your body. Okay. And this is something really important, and then you can ask any question you want and you won't need me to do that for you. So I'm gonna add a little bit of energy healing into this little segment here. So if you'd like to receive a little bit of healing, you just accept it, and accept whatever's for your greatest and highest good in your mind's eye. And then if you would like to just follow me and just close your eyes. Yes, that's right, Jackie. Take that deep breath in. So we're going to begin with a deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. One of the most amazing things that you can do for yourself is just simply breathe. Let's try that a few more times, in through the nose, out through the mouth. And as you're doing that, you could start to feel yourself calming into your body. And maybe you can just take a moment to listen to your body. Take a moment as you're breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth, just to tune in. Where do you feel tight? Where do you feel stress? Where do you feel tension? Keep the breath going in through the nose, out through the mouth. So you've taken a little bit of inventory. You're showing your body you're listening. And just take a moment in your mind also to thank your body. Thank you, body, for being a beautiful map. Thank you for supporting me. And I'm listening now. and I promise to listen to you now. And just also now take a moment to acknowledge your mind self. It's the version of you who is thinking all the time, worrying about what's happening next, making lists. Just take a moment to acknowledge and love that version of you too. Just keep the breath going in through the nose, out through the mouth, and just notice how your body is starting to relax. And then bring your attention to your heart. And just imagine a very white, shiny ball. Maybe some of you can actually feel the tightness in your heart. Using that breath, breathe out with the out breath. Any of that stuck energy, some of it could be emotion, some could be fear. And just keep breathing and feeling how your body is responding. Your nervous system is responding. And then now using that breath in through the nose, out through the mouth, start to grow your heart light bigger. And just keep growing it bigger and bigger and bigger. We're creating what is your personal vortex of light. I'm going to keep growing it bigger until it's all the way outside your bodies and fields. And then I'm going to get you to go ahead and add a gold ring around that. You're actually sealing and healing your auric field. And just imagine that color in your auric field being bright white, maybe some other colors of the rainbow, pinks or blues, violets, or just pure bright white light. Good, and then bring yourself back into your heart. Now you can do this part standing or sitting. So if you're going to stand for your standing body pendulum, you can get up now or you can sit. It will work the same. I'm going to remind you to do this every day. Feel already how much your body has calmed down. How you have relaxed in your body where you were feeling pressure before. It's this simple. Just show them, the body, that you're listening. Now imagine your feet on the ground and that you have roots in your feet. Send those roots all the way down to the ground. In the ground. As we heal Mother Earth, she heals us. Send the roots all the way down. And now light those roots up. Light them up like a Christmas tree. Now bring yourself back up into your heart. And then if you're standing, your body is going to move one way for your yes or truth, and one way for your no or not truth. And if you're sitting, you might sway, you might move in a certain direction, you might get a chill, it might look something different. It'll work either way. Just trusting your body. And now ask, please show me my clear yes. Just notice which way you're moving or what's happening. Some may feel tingle. Just be very sensitive and listen to the body. She's telling you. And now recenter yourself and now ask, please show me my no. Just notice which way you move. I saw you, Jackie. That was pretty clear.
It was a real pull for that.
That was a pretty clear one, yeah. So you notice, and you're on the mic now, Jackie, so I'll just have you. Do you notice how even just with this small exercise, how your body has calmed down, you've come out, you've been able to sort of acknowledge where you're holding any stuck energy. What else happened for you as you moved through that?
Like I felt I was moving back and forth to start with, and when you said clear yes, even though I didn't go that far forward, I felt a real pull forward. But when it said clear no, I went straight back. Yeah,
Right.
very.
So what's so important about this, and I invite you to practice this daily if you can, is this is establishing your truth. So you can use this for anything. You could use this to, verify if a certain piece of information that you heard on the internet is true or not.
Yeah.
And what you're also doing is you're inviting your body to trust your higher self. And your higher self is connected directly to source, which is the only guide you need right now. It's your higher self who will bring in any other guides that are here to help you. Okay. But your most important relationship right now is to your higher self. So practice this every single day. And even we only have a few minutes left for some questions, but those of you who don't even get me to answer your question, use the body pendulum and start to ask the questions for yourself. Is this emotion that I'm feeling in my chest? Is this mine? And if it's not yours, am I feeling my daughters? Am I feeling my partners? Am I feeling collective energy? Am I feeling, the impact of energy that's happening right now? You can ask all the questions. Is this related to a current life situation? Yes or no? Our body is our biggest tool, right? And then you can go deeper. You can ask, is this ancestral? Is what I'm moving through right now in my relationship or my career, is this, or my chronic illness, is this ancestral? Yes or no? So you can start to ask those questions and your body will start to trust you to tell you yes or no. So I
Love it.
hope that helps.
Definitely. Because then we're understanding ourselves more as well. So that's brilliant.
And you're also telling your body that you're listening,
Yes.
and you're telling your mind you're listening, and you're opening yourself up to other versions of you who may need your attention right now. Okay, so we do have one question from Thelma. She's asking about her gradual explosive temper. Did you see that?
Yeah, that's the one I was going to say.
Okay, good. So you can see it, right? So I don't
Yes.
have to look. Okay, good. Okay, so I'm going to tune in, Thelma, but you now have your body pendulum too. So you're going to do this with me. Okay. So you can see that you have the power to do this. You can tune in yourself. So I'm going to prompt you with a few questions, and I'm going to use my abilities and my pendulum to assist me to figure out what the origin of your gradual explosive temper is. Okay. One question, if I was with you on camera, I would ask you if this is something that's happened your whole life, or if this is something that seems to have sped up lately. Okay, so I'm getting a yes on that. So that seems to have sped up a little lately. It seems to be presenting a little bit more lately. So then, Thelma, that what I'm going to ask is, is this something related to her current life situation? That's a no. Then I'm going to ask, is this something related to childhood? That's a yes. Then I'm going to ask, is this also related to anything ancestral or inherited? And that is a big yes. Look at that go. See, this is my pendulum. It's telling you very big yes. Yes, and you pick up energy. Okay, so another question that you want to ask. So I kind of call this the diagnostics. You want to ask also, is this gradual explosive temper all mine? Yes or no? And that's a big no. So you know that, Thelma. You know that it's not all yours. But however, we have picked up the origin source because you are the one with the temper. It's coming from you somewhere, but you are also probably triggered by other people's tempers or frustrations. And that's what's also bringing it up. She's getting the tingling. That must be your yes, Thelma. Okay. And then I'm just going to ask, and you can prompt this too. Do I need any more information about this right now? No and yes. Okay, so I'm going to ask, just for the sake of time, in the most priority order, what do I need to know about this? Is it the ancestral? Yes. Okay, so this temper seems to be primarily rooted in ancestral. Okay, so now I'm just going to go ahead and ask, is it mom? Keep going. Is it dad? Yes. Okay, so for you, Thelma, it's rooted from dad. Does it go back further from dad? Yes. Does it go dad's dad? No. Dad's mom? Yes. Does it go further than that? No. Okay, my friend. So the gradual explosive temper, although yes, it's related to you picking up off of other people, and yes, there's something from childhood that needs to be resolved. The origin of this particular thing is dad's mom. So does that resonate, Thelma? I'm getting it does. So specifically, what you would need to do here is, first of all, understand that you can start observing this now. So when you're in it, okay, you can start to even like just sort of stop and observe it. And then now that we know that it's coming from there, is there anything I can do about that right now? Yes. Okay. Is dad's mom here right now? Keep going. Something about forgiveness, Thelma. There's something to do with forgiveness. Does dad's mom need to forgive a parent? No, a husband? Dad's mom needs to forgive a husband.
Mm.
So there was some type of conflict, obviously, that was that was causing her to have a temper that has something to do with her husband. So your dad's mother, your grandmother's, your grandfather, basically, or he was a king soldier at Buckhouse. I don't know him as a father. Ah, okay. Interesting. So that's also related.
Mhm.
Explosive anger, right? Okay, so the truth is, Selma, you're actually you're carrying the frequency or the energy of that anger, and it's not all yours, it's theirs. So what I'm going to get you to do now that you understand it, okay, is we're going to just do a quick exercise and we're going to actually release the emotion. There's still something that your child in your childhood that needs to be resolved that happened to you related to your this explosive temper, because there's a version of you, a childhood version of you. She's 5. There's something at 5 that happened to you that re-triggered this. Okay. Even though it didn't come from you originally, as Jackie said earlier, we are born free, fresh, clean,
Mhm.
without all
Mhm.
of this. So the secondary factor is something happening to you at 5. So your 5-year-old self also needs you right now, and she needs you to hear her.
Mhm.
Okay. So the other thing that you can do is actually use the frequency of the emotion of, if it's temper, explosive temper, let's call it rage, or let's call it anger. Let's give it a name. Okay. And then what you can actually do is close your eyes. So if you can do this, and anyone can do this if they're also think that they're feeling rage or anger. All right, just take a moment, close your eyes, and do what we did at the beginning. Go into your heart and then ask your body to show you. Do the in through the nose, out through the mouth. And ask your body to show you where it's holding rage or anger. I'm feeling someone's right now, so I'm probably feeling yours, Thelma, because I'm tuned into you. And it's right in your higher chest here, right here. That's where you're holding it. Um, and she's just put in brother here too. That's a yes. So you're holding the anger that originates from your grandfather and your grandmother, and that is also playing out in your own father and your brother, and who knows who else. And you're actually holding it all, but it's not yours. So you need to actually just breathe in. And then I want you to imagine literally with your out breath, breathing out that rage, just like it's a frequency. There we go. And you can insert any emotion here. Okay, and you're going to do that 1 or 2 more times. One more. And already there, because I'm tuned into you right now, we've released the frequency of that being stored in your body. So why is this happening more for you right now? So that you can figure it out, so that you can release it, so that you can heal it. And so anyone around you in your life who is quote unquote triggering that, whether it's your brother, whether it's your, yeah, forgiveness is hard, but forgiveness is the highest vibration emotion outside of love. And we can free ourselves from feeling like this, that stuck anxiety that we were feeling a minute ago. We can stay there if we want to, or we could free ourselves, and remember, some of that anger or rage it doesn't even belong to you. And so you could free your ancestors too. And they're asking you to do that. So it's a process. I'm not expecting anyone to say, "Oh yeah, I can forgive and forget." And there's a lot of trauma that people have experienced, but this is the approach that you can take, and you can literally tune into your own self and have these answers. So I hope that helped a little bit, Thelma. And at least you have a little bit more knowledge, but definitely go back to your 5-year-old self. There's something that happened at 5. Your 5-year-old self needs you to hear her. So there's something that happened. Maybe it had to do with your father. Yes, had some.
To nurture the
Yeah,
5-year-old.
yeah, yeah.
Raise.
She's feeling that rage and anger.
Mm.
Okay, so she needs to be listened to. She needs to be acknowledged. Okay, so that's how this works. This is
What
how.
about thanking that part of you, or thanking the memory for what
Yeah.
it's shown you? Mm.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. This is hard. I had a girl this week who asked me specifically about anger that actually very similar. She was a young girl and no real reason she acknowledged to have any anger. And we started to go in, and yes, I checked all of the other things, and but the priority was she had an accident a few years ago with her family, and everyone was fine. um her husband, her child were fine. She had a neck injury, and this was like 4 years ago, and she was still carrying the anger. And I asked her then, okay, so what physical symptoms do you have? She says, well, I keep having this neck injury. And I said, well, you're holding that because you're not releasing the anger. I got very clearly that it wasn't physical. So she was literally holding her anger and her inability to forgive. Her and her husband still wanted sort of justice. I guess the two people that caused it ran away from the scene and they never were found. And she was so angry about it. And I said, um, I sort of took her back. We reframed it. It's called timeline work. And I said to her, I said, no one passed away, no one died, and everyone's okay. Yes. Well, why was I there? Why was I there? I said, would you consider that you were there because then now you could go back and do this work, and anyone that was involved in that accident can also have all of this released? And maybe it was a catalyst for you to look at some of the anger that you still are having in your body. Your neck is clearly showing you that it's still here. And we released it. She cried, she released it. She understood that justice wasn't necessary. Does that help anyone? Justice is just more of the same, right? So revenge doesn't help anyone. Justice doesn't help anyone. Anger and rage doesn't help anyone. All it does is keeps us stuck in the suffering.
Absolutely. And does it help to know that your soul would have chosen that for the whole situation?
She
Would
saw that very clearly after we went through the exercise. And there was some breathing, there was some releasing, there was energetic release too. But after we did that, she could feel it in her whole body, and it was showing relief. And her question was, why did it happen?
Mm.
You know? So that was amazing. And I'm pretty sure I've had a couple of someone else. I had a man come, and he had terrible back pain. It was his first session with me. Um, doesn't really trust all of this, didn't really believe all of that, and presented with terrible back pain. And He said, I've spent thousands of dollars. I've done everything for 10 years, chiropractors, this, that, that. If you could, figure this out. Sure enough, guess what it was? It was anger and cords related to an ex-wife. And sure enough, he hadn't spoken to her in 10 years. He was angry. Didn't forget, was still angry.
Mm.
Um, Turns out we did the healing, we did the clearing. He ended up understanding that the need for justice or revenge or anger wasn't helping him or her, or the back pain completely cleared, hasn't returned. It's been a month, and he went and made amends with her,
Wow.
and which also helped his children. And he still has no back pain. And now wow, okay, I get it.
Wow.
I mean, there was another person I worked with recently who had chronic headaches. This is something big. We can clear these. Our
Brilliant.
bodies are telling us something,
Yeah.
whether it's emotion, whether it's an illness, whether it's a reaction to a trigger, whether it's a relationship, we're being shown all the time. And
And that's
it's a miracle, isn't it, Jackie?
absolutely, and that's how that book starts as well, because he went to all these different gurus. He fasted for days on end, didn't sleep for, went into silent meditation for days. And then he found someone who said, go back home to your mum and dad. And he thought he'd broken all ties with them. He didn't need to be with them, didn't da da da. Went back home to them, took that advice, and that's what he needed, because that needed healing in the family. He explains that way better than
I
that.
can I can pretty much guarantee that what you're avoiding in your life right now, so whether it's if you're still holding on to anger, if you're still resenting, if you're avoiding a person or avoiding a conversation or avoiding leaving a job or a relationship, that's where you actually have to go. And it's counterintuitive to us because we want to feel safe and calm and happy. We don't want to walk through the fire. But
Yes.
that is the actual key to our healing, is to walk through the fire. Why am I triggered by this? Why do I have this anger? Is it sometimes some of our behaviors, like drinking too much wine, for example? Not even ours. Not even ours.
Mm.
It's something we have done to calm the nervous system or the emotions, but it actually is coming from ancestral, reliance on alcohol. And that's passed down,
Yeah.
and so, yeah, so you're all invited right now. You're all invited right now to look inward and look and have the hard conversations with yourself, have the hard,
But with love.
with
Always.
love, with
Yeah.
love and patience. Yes, and non-judgment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because that's it. That's our job this time, I think, round, is to understand us and love us and heal us. We're
Yeah.
healing all the time.
Yes. And I guess one last thing I would say, be open to the possibilities, all of them. The possibilities, you know, that something like that in a past life or an ancestor or your childhood could have actually caused what's happening right now. Sometimes our brains or our egos, some of us are, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty mad at 43 years old that I was as sick as I was for as long as I was. And why wouldn't you just tell me sooner how I could fix this or how I would know this? Why did I have to suffer through all of that?
Mm.
Right? And we can all, I'm sure, say
Relate
that
to something like that.
experience that, right? But, I look back now and I say, well, I wouldn't be here right now
Absolutely.
and doing all the things that I'm doing
Yeah.
if
Took
I
you on the path that you had to be on,
it
but you
did.
couldn't see it at the time.
No, and I'm very grateful for it.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
wasn't always fun, but
Jerry and Esther Hicks, who channel Abraham. Obviously, Jerry's passed away, but Esther still channels Abraham. And there are no mistakes. To
Mm-mm.
say that something's wrong is to paddle upstream. is how they put it, against the tide. Everything flows perfectly when you're in flow with your life.
That's true. That's true. So the last piece of advice I think we can both give is look inside. What is happening? Don't look outside. Those things that are happening in our world right now, they're there for you to look. Why is it impacting you? What is it triggering? What are you being asked to look at or not look at?
It might be to not look at. We're looking at perhaps too much. I mean, I
Yeah.
feel I do at times, without a doubt, because you just go from one thing to another.
Right. And this is why I can't express enough the importance of the practice of the truth testing, the body pendulum, sitting or standing, or really starting to practice that, because the only person you need to trust is you.
What I loved when we started the conversation, I know it might have been before I even come on live with you, but you said I had to do a healing for myself this morning. So you didn't have to look outside of anyone else. I had to do a healing for myself this morning because I was feeling as I felt.
Mhm.
And so to know that you can do that for yourself is everything.
And you know what? I'm not going to say I do this all alone. I get help too. Okay. That's another thing. There's no shame in that, there's and most of us need to ask for help, and
Yeah.
there are,
I mean, the only reason you knew to do that for yourself today is because you've had that help and you've had that guidance
right.
and you've
That's
looked for the right people to get that from.
And I've used my intuition to tell me, is this the right person to listen
Yes.
to? Is this the right person to go to for a healing? Is this
Yeah.
the right person to trust with my energy? And I have that ability to do that. So it's the most important thing that any of us can learn. And you could simply even ask, is everything going to be okay? Simple. You can
Even you
ask.
saying that, I mean, I got a strong yes, just you saying that. Did you?
Mhm,
Because everything is going to be okay.
mhm. Yep. Yep. This is a magical time we're moving through. It really is. It really is exciting, the kinds of things that I see every day and you see every day. I hope for everyone that's listening to this to start to see these miracles in their own lives every single day.
I mean, I did say the other day when we were coming back from somewhere, and it was a girl the same age as me, and I said, "Do you watch those programs when it said what it was like in the 70s, 60s, 70s, 80s?" I don't remember all that upheaval and disruption that there was going on. We were just living,
That's right.
just loving life. Well, I don't know if we were loving life, but I mean, I had
We're
no,
living.
yes, exactly. You don't have to get caught up with all this.
Nope.
Just love yourself, look after yourself, and then you bring that sort of energy to you as well.
You bring it to everyone else around you too. And
Exactly.
please remember that as you heal yourself, you're healing 7 generations back and 7 generations forward, and you're
Yes.
healing everyone around you.
Yes.
Because you no longer participate in those, back to your friend's story, those codependent behaviors anymore. You begin to have boundaries, you begin to trust yourself, and then they look at how you're rising and your energy, and they start to do the same thing. So if we keep participating in the old ways, then nothing changes.
Absolutely. And we want to move forward to grow, to be the best version of ourselves.
Yes. Yeah. It's an amazing time. It's really, truly is
Honestly.
an awakening of so many things. It's magic.
Are you happy to close down this
Yeah.
session?
That's been, I know you only like to do an hour, which is,
Well, it's just nice, yeah, and gone over a bit. But, it's enough for people just to take that amount on board, don't you think?
I totally agree. Yes. And feel free. I think this will be up on YouTube. So to rewatch that, the body pendulum and the heart activation if you need it again. I also have meditations available. So you can either email me or message me. I'm happy to send some to you.
Want to
Uh,
say your email and I'll put it underneath as well.
yes, you can either DM me wherever you are, or alicia.whalen@gmail.com.
I'll put that underneath if you're sure that's okay to do that, yeah?
Yes, that's fine. Yep.
And Awake and Inspired is on Facebook.
Yes, so I have a Facebook group. Yeah, you can go there. You can find whatever you need there, or awake-and-inspired.com is my website.
Brilliant. Okay.
Thank you, Jackie. It's my pleasure as usual. I love this time together.
Absolutely love it. Thank you. Thanks, Alicia.
You're so
Thank
welcome.
you, everyone that's
See you
watching. And
soon.
okay.
Bye.
Bye.